Coming up, Biden's Middle East trip doles out money but gets little in return. We're going to break down the high-stakes trip just concluded this morning with our guests, including Ambassador David Friedman. Then, the hidden crisis hitting millions of Americans. Pornography addiction. What can parents do to keep their kids from getting hooked? Plus, missing military recruitment goals. Why aren't Americans willing and able to serve? General Blaine Holt is here. And Dick's Sporting Goods under fire. Are American companies breaking the law with their pro-abortion policies? This is America Right Now. Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Basili. We've got all of that and much more over the course of the next 2 hours. But first, President Biden is heading back to the United States at this hour after wrapping up his meeting with Saudi officials and the leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council. But did he come away with a deal on increased oil production? Our Jerusalem correspondent Daniel Cohen is live in Jeddah with the very latest. Daniel, over to you.
Hey, good morning, Tom, and good morning, everyone. It's good to be with you here on a Saturday. Saudi Arabia's crown prince says his country will not be able to meet the increased demand for oil amid the global energy crisis. He made those remarks in front of President Biden earlier and Gulf leaders in his opening remarks at the GCC. Just 2 weeks ago, President Biden said gas prices had nothing to do with his visit here to Saudi Arabia. Here's the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman greeting President Biden at Jeddah's Royal Palace after landing in Saudi Arabia Friday night. No handshake, just a quick fist bump, maybe you've seen, there it is. And then he was whisked inside where there were more fist bumps between the president and Saudi rulers. This was clearly a choreographed decision and one the president is receiving some criticism over. The president did shake hands for quite a while with the ailing 86-year-old King Salman. As a candidate, Biden vowed to make Saudi Arabia a pariah over human rights abuses. But now that the president needs the world's largest oil producer to open the floodgates to bring down soaring gas prices, it is threatening Democrats in the midterm elections.
This visit.
I suspect you won't see that for another couple weeks. And we'll see more when we see gas stations start to lower their price consistent with what they're paying for the oil.
The president once again blaming gas station owners for overcharging customers. Just 18 months ago, the national average for a price of gas was half of what it is today. I spoke with David Friedman, U.S. ambassador to Israel under President Trump. He remembered how Mr. Trump was greeted by the Saudis on his first trip overseas as commander-in-chief in 2017 and the U.S.-Saudi partnership.
When President Trump came to Saudi Arabia, he met with 50 Muslim nations and gave an extraordinarily important speech about their responsibility to combat Muslim extremism. I mean, if you want to bring down the price of gas, you don't need to ask the Saudis to drill. You can drill in Midland, Texas. You can drill, in Anwar. You don't need to drill in Saudi Arabia.
President Biden says he did bring up Jamal Khashoggi during his meeting Friday with the Crown Prince. MBS said he wasn't personally responsible for the journalist's death. Mr. Biden said he thought that MBS was. A bigger question here is how much of the pain the American people are feeling is the commander-in-chief responsible for? Inflation just hit a 41-year high, and Tom, that has sent the president's approval rating to a new low, 33% overall. Tom?
Daniel, thank you so much. Great reporting there from Jeddah and from Israel this week on this important trip. Good to see you. President Biden, as we just reported, coming up empty at this point on any deal to increase oil output from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But this morning, he did lay out some of his plans for how the United States can help solve what he calls the most pressing challenges in the world. Take a listen.
Security. We're collectively committing billions of dollars to alleviate the crisis here in the region, with more than $1 billion coming from the United States. On energy security, we agree on the need to ensure adequate supplies to meet global needs. Energy producers have already increased production and look forward to seeing what's coming in the coming months. And on the climate crisis, we're collectively investing hundreds of billions of dollars in clean energy initiatives, increasing our climate ambition, and working together to diversify supply chains and invest in critical infrastructure.
Joining us now is Newsmax foreign policy analyst and former Trump campaign foreign policy advisor and the author of the book The Choice and about a dozen other books, folks, Walid Phares. My friend, good to see you. A very big week, and you've been following this very closely. Give us your overall assessment of the trip that just concluded. The president boarding Air Force One just about an hour or so ago en route to the UK and then here back home.
Yes, of course, and thank you for having me. I've been monitoring very, very closely. First leg of that trip in Israel, and many things were said and or not said in Israel. But the most important leg was in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah, where the president and his delegation met with actually the leadership of the Saudis on the one hand, but then the next day, that's today, a few hours ago, with the leadership of the region, including the Gulf on the one hand, but also Egypt and Iraq attended along with Jordan. Now, to go straight to the point so that the viewers can assess themselves. What was at hand here? The challenge was for the president, President Biden, is to convince our allies, now they're becoming our allies and partners after being criticized for a year and a half, to pump more oil into the market, because since the crisis in Ukraine, we have a major crisis, and that crisis is hitting us here at home. That's the bottom line of the attempt by the administration to exert that effort from that region. The region has a different priority. Yes, they will help on that matter. They will help the administration as they helped previous administrations. Their major concern is Iran. And the major concern with Iran is the Iran deal. And this is the bottom line of what they said to the American side, both at the table, I bet, and of course in their media. You are sending through this Iran deal billions of dollars to a regime that is buying weapons and using them against us. And then you come to the region and ask us to pump more oil. That is something not well in this equation. So if you shut down the Iran deal, we can pump energy and other than energy into the international markets.
You know, among those points that the Americans were most focused on, as you pointed out, the trip to the Middle East is what it's going to mean for gas prices here in the United States. And he said he raised oil production with Saudi leaders, but he also yesterday afternoon couldn't help but take another swipe at small businesses and gas station owners and convenience store owners here in the United States. Listen to this.
On gas prices, if I may, you said that we'll see relief at some point in the not too distant future. What is the message to Americans who are looking for that relief now? When should they expect to see a real change in prices, though they've already been coming down? They've already been coming down.
That's right. They've been coming down every single day, to the best of my knowledge.
When will we see the impact of this visit?
I suspect you won't see that for another couple weeks. And we'll see more when we see gas stations start to lower their price consistent with what they're paying for the oil.
Now, Walid, you said you thought that the region would try to be helpful on this score. The rhetoric out of the kingdom today says we're at our limit. We're not pumping anymore. The criticism of the convenience store and gas station owners, is that an indication that he knows that he's not going to be getting more oil out of the kingdom?
He is betting, his team is telling him, give it some time. That's why I said a couple more weeks to see what we're going to do in the aftermath of these negotiations. But first, technically, Tom, and we all know this, the lowering of the price has to do with the taxes that they try to, to get out of the price. And that's the maximum they can do. But basically, the region, and mostly Saudi Arabia, is really telling our administration, look, you want us to cooperate. We may be able. Now, there is a way to say you have not cooperated and therefore we're not being able. That's what they said so far, because the final decision on the Iran deal by the Biden administration has not been made yet. He's going to come back, and there are huge pressure forces in America that want him to sign that deal. And this is something neither Israel nor the Arab allies would like to see happening in the Middle East.
And President Biden's come under fire for this fist bump with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. There's also a lot of talk about the brutal murder of Jamal Khashoggi. But while he was in Israel, he pledged hundreds of millions of U.S. tax dollars to the Palestinians, who are still ostensibly paying people to kill Israelis. There seems to be a big disconnect there that maybe the administration feels people won't put two and two together. Your thoughts?
Maybe, but we are putting, most people are putting two and two together. And here's the deal. with regard the fist and the handshake and all of that matter, and with regard also the pledge he did in Israel to help some of these Palestinian organizations, this is a reflection of a problem here in Washington, in the United States. It's the power of the Iran lobby. It's the power of the extremist lobbies from the Middle East, because that administration has now clearly two wings dealing with the Middle East. One that wants the president to rush and sign the Iran deal at any cost, and the other one's trying to reason with the president and telling him we cannot lose Israel, we cannot lose the JCC, we cannot lose our friends among the Arabs, because what they're going to do, and some of them did, they will go to Russia and to China.
That's right.
So he has a lot of worries in this regard.
Walid, I really only have about 15, 20 seconds left for you here. Unfortunately, Russian dictator Vladimir Putin heads to Tehran next week. What are you looking and watching for in that visit?
3 messages. Putin is messaging first the Iranians, I won't let you down. Putin is messaging also the Arabs, telling them if you get too close from the United States, I'll get closer to Iran. And Putin is messaging the Biden administration, you don't have enough credibility in the Middle East. Look, when I go to Iran, what is going to happen? And we'll see next week.
All right, we'll bring you back for that. Thank you always, Walid Phares, for your analysis. I appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.